Hi everybody. Hi everybody. Welcome. Welcome to another session on stop anxiety, panic attacks, depression, and any kind of negative emotions, really. I'm here today. Just let me plug something in. Plugging something in. Great. Worked well. So, welcome. 𝗦𝘁𝗲𝗽 𝗕𝗹𝘂𝗃, the mindset medium. I'm a success mindset coach for ambitious women who want to be emotionally free and mentally strong to create a kind of life, business, and career that they love. I'm conducting these sessions, these live Q&A workshops on how you can free yourself from any kind of emotional suffering fast. Why am I doing this? You may be asking. Well, we are getting together weekly and I'm providing this space in form of these live Q&A workshops because I used to suffer myself. I know how it feels to suffer emotionally from pain, from emotional pain, be it stress, anxiety, fear, worry, frustration, anger, jealousy, whatever it is for you. And I know that the word emotional suffering may not necessarily resonate with you guys, especially the people on LinkedIn, because we are really sharing this on various networks. Especially the word emotional suffering may not resonate with people, especially on LinkedIn, because let's face it, aren't we all achievers? We are all stressed, but we are not suffering. Well, if you are suffering, if you are stressed, then you are suffering. Stress is a form of emotional suffering. So whether you are suffering from stress, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, worry, fear, frustration, if you have a tendency to feel low rather than high, if you consider yourself to be a glass half full person, or as opposed to, if you consider yourself to be a glass half empty person as opposed to a glass half full person, if you have a tendency to be negative, this workshop is for you. It's not only for the people who suffer emotionally in form of depression, anxiety, and panic attacks, the lowest, vibrationally lowest emotion on the emotional reference scale. It's also for you guys if you find yourself that you have the tendency to be too hard on yourself for too long. So as I said, my name is 𝗦𝘁𝗲𝗽 𝗕𝗹𝘂𝗃. I'm the mindset medium. I'm a success and mindset coach for ambitious women who want to be emotionally free and mentally strong to create the life, career, and business they love. I'm holding these workshops. I really opening the questions up for you. Ask me anything that you like, because as an ex-sufferer of anxiety, panic attacks, depression, essentially of somebody who has been too hard on myself for too long, which is now more than over a decade ago, I know how it feels to be in that space of emotional suffering. I have found my way out, and it was not through antidepressants. They do help only to a certain degree. To free yourself emotionally, you really have to take charge. This workshop I'm holding right here with you right now, and again, I'm encouraging you to drop in the comments box where you're coming from and how you're doing, and also to share this message with your network, because there's so many people suffering right now, and many of whom we don't even know are suffering because people are embarrassed, scared, worried about what other people may think if they open themselves up. So the reason why I'm motivated to hold these workshops is because I used to suffer myself. I know how it feels, but I freed myself emotionally through experimenting, really, because I didn't want to be reliant on drugs, especially in my early adulthood. I really felt in my heart of hearts that there had to be a different way. Through a lucky coincidences of events, I ended up seeing a psychiatrist who was not only inclined in prescribing antidepressants, but he really opened me in my early adulthood up to a new world of thinking and looking at things. And it got me hooked. The moment I started noticing results for myself, I started immersing myself in topics of human psychology, physiology, mindset. And it just ignited a deep passion within me to not only wanting to free myself, but once I did, I knew I had something valuable to share with people who are suffering in the same way I was. And ever since I have freed myself in my early 20s, I went on showing and sharing the knowledge with other people. And I've witnessed working with individual people and groups of people, how they can free themselves from emotional suffering really fast, within minutes. And this is exactly what I'm going to talk about today. You can quite literally take your power back within minutes. I'm going to give you the tools and the strategies. That's important to me. You see, based on this, and my time is only limited working with people one-on-one. Hence, I've developed a program called the 3-Step Blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks. And this program is essentially based on my experience, my own experience, what has helped me, but also the experience I had with many other people. It's based on 3 steps, how we can free ourselves in the moment and long-term reach ultimate emotional freedom. And I'm going to share the very 3 steps with you and coach you through anything that is holding you back. If you lend me your trust to show you that there is a different way, and I encourage you to do so. You see, I'm a member of different groups online when it comes to the topic of anxiety, depression, mental health, shall I say. And I can see that some of these groups are really great. They provide a great forum and great platform for connecting people, and people certainly open themselves up and do get some empathy and compassion. But what I see lacking in these groups is somebody taking charge and say, hey, people, I know how it feels, but you must know, please must know, and don't take it the wrong way. You have to take charge of how you feel, of your emotional well-being. In the same way, you have to take charge of everything else in your life. And here's how you can do it. Here are the steps. When you apply them, because they are proven to work, they've worked for me and they've worked for so many other people, you can quite literally free yourself from any kind of emotional suffering really fast. Again, stress is also a kind of emotional suffering. There are those people who don't resonate with the word emotional suffering. Stress is emotional suffering. So I'm passionate about providing this space, the gap online, so to speak, where people are joining, wanting to free themselves, wanting to, find solutions, but all they find is empathy and compassion. And the moment it may feel good to type it on the screen or put it on paper, but you don't change anything, because things won't change until you change things. And many people, it's also about knowing what to do and doing what you know, because many people know what to do, but they don't do what they know. Various reasons behind it, right? Our beliefs, our values being a fundamental part of why we more often than not don't do what would be good for us, although we acknowledge it with our logical mind, right? So before we start and before I go into any questions you may have, and we are streaming this on the various social platforms, so questions are coming in from different social platforms. I just want to, to give you a chance to win this 3-step blueprint, my 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks. The first person to email me on my email address, Sonja at 𝐏𝗿𝐺𝗍𝗂𝐻@𝐴PowerFree-coaching.com will receive a copy of my 3-step blueprint, because I messed up the pronunciation of my email. Here it is in the banner here. So for a chance to win my 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks, just email me, send me a message to say, hey, this is who I am, this is how I've been struggling, but more importantly, this is why I recognize that it's time to change right now. This is how I'm ready to take my power back. That's really what I'm interested to hear. Why do you recognize that enough is enough, that you had enough pain in your life, and that you're ready to embark on something you recognize you're absolutely entitled to, that you are ready to step back into your power, to start embracing that wonderful potential of yours. Drop me a message, and if you are the first one to focus on all this, you will get a copy of my program, the 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks. So before we start off and before I dive into the 3 steps, and we will be spending another 45 minutes or so together, I really want to give you guys not only the tools and the strategies to know what to do, but also make sure that you do what you know, but also give you a space and an opportunity to be coached online live. This is live, right? To be coached live with me, with anything that is holding you back relating to emotional well-being. So just drop your comments into the comment box. I will be also keeping an eye on there, and whoever has any questions and is willing to be coached by me live is welcome. So before we dive in, I also really want to mention that if emotional suffering is new to you, so if you are starting to feel unwell, if you are starting to developing physical symptoms as a result of emotional unfitness, for instance, I know that in my case, I used to feel often unwell. I used to feel often breathless. I used to feel that I had some sort of pressure around my heart area, and I really thought that there was something physically wrong with me in my early 20s. I hadn't appreciated at the time the importance or the aspect of us being not only human beings, but more importantly, spiritual beings having a human experience. So if you are experiencing physical pain, which you suspect may be a result of emotional suffering, step number 1, if you hadn't already, you go to your doctor and make sure you get a health check, that you get yourself checked. If you have, like I do, feel pressure around your heart, tell it to your doctor. They will refer you to have an EKG, electrocardiogram, whatever it is. Make sure that you get the health check, health clear, so to speak. And if you are physically well, if you know that at least you can focus completely and entirely without dismissing the physical aspect on your mental well-being. And this is all what this session is all about. I just wanted to mention this to you. Make sure that your physical symptoms, that you don't completely disregard them. Yes, the physical symptoms are a result of our emotional suffering, because it's essentially your body's way to shout loud at you, to give it attention. If you are not paying attention to your emotional suffering, you really don't want to your emotional suffering to develop into physical symptoms. But once it happened, make sure you get your health check. Okay, now before we start talking about the 3 steps, which I'm elaborating on my 3-step blueprint, I also want to mention that your diet, the supplements, whatever you take in, has an impact on your mental well-being in the same way as an impact on your body. And there are many people who are more prone to certain foods, more prone to developing anxiety, depression, panic attack, emotional unfitness due to certain foods than others, really dependent on your genetic makeup. But be mindful that whatever you take in may have an impact on your diet. You see, I'm not the expert on this, but I can recommend an expert to you. It's somebody by the name of Anthony William. Anthony William, he's also known as the medical medium. That's right, Anthony is the medical medium. He's the guy behind healing millions of people of illnesses where the regular traditional medicine is failing them. And he's the medical medium, and I'm the mindset medium. I'm more focusing on the mindset. And if you combine the two, you quite literally can free yourself and heal yourself from any kind of suffering, emotional, physical, spiritual, right? But Anthony William, he essentially suggests that any kind of anxiety, panic attack, depression, any kind of emotional suffering is linked to toxic heavy metals in your system. And in case you're wondering, hey, I'm not eating any metals, you know what I mean? Toxic heavy metals, we all have them in our system. We all use pots and pans, right? We all cut our food with knives. What happens to the metals when the knife gets blunt? It ends up in our food, right? what happens to the metal where you see the little scratches on the cookery? It ends up in our food. We also inhale toxic heavy metals when we fill up our car, when we use colognes and perfumes, when we use pesticides, for instance. Toxic heavy metals when we burn candles, especially scented candles, or when we tattoo our body. Toxic heavy metals are surrounded by us. So we really have to make sure that we cleanse our body of these toxic heavy metals, and everybody is exposed to them. Everybody is exposed to them. There are several ways how you can clean yourself of toxic heavy metals. I can suggest one. Anthony William is talking about. He's talking about essentially the heavy metals detox smoothie, right? The heavy metal detox smoothie. It consists, I can give you the ingredients, but I really urge you to check him out yourself. That heavy metal detox smoothie consists of wild blueberries, cilantro or coriander, Atlantic dulse, spirulina, barley grass cheese powder, orange juice, and bananas, right? So if you haven't checked Anthony William out yet, I recommend to check him out. I'm not sponsored in any way or form, but he is healing millions of people's lives, not only in relation to anxiety, panic attacks, and depression, in relation to many other illnesses as well. So make sure to check out his Cleanse to Heal book. He also has many other books. Anthony William, as you can see, right? Okay, this may be helpful to you. There is an interesting fact about Anthony William, and not everybody, as a result, likes him, because obviously Anthony William, one man against the scientific industry and the pharmaceutical industry. He's essentially healing people. He's the guy behind the celery juice movement that has healed millions of people, again, of illnesses where the traditional medicine has failed them, right? But the reason why he has this information to share with the world, which is delivering result, is, and he's quite open about it, he says that he has a connection with the spirit of compassion. Now, I don't know how what your thoughts are about a higher source or a higher power, but I know that certainly from my perspective, where I come from, I appreciate that there is absolutely, without no doubt, a higher energy, a higher power that is around us and within us, and that regulates everything, and from which everything comes and stems. So Anthony William claims he has a connection with what he calls the spirit of compassion since the age of 4. He claims that when he was 4 years old, they were around the dinner table with their grandparents and parents, and all of a sudden he heard his voice whispering to his ear that your grandmother has lung cancer. Right, that was in the, I think it was in the 50s. A 4-year-old child, he got up and he went up to his grandma and he spoke those words without knowing what they actually meant. And they did pursue it, the family, and it turned out that the grandmother indeed had cancer, lung cancer. Ever since, Anthony William devoted his life to healing people worldwide, and he is on a mission. It's not an easy task, especially as you are, working without the scientific proof, where the pharmaceutical industry giving you the stake every day because you don't have any scientific proof. Well, his proof is the healing of millions of people, and you can check out the different testimonials on his various social media accounts. Okay, so that's the nutrition part I really wanted to mention to you in case you weren't aware of it, and how important it is when it comes to our mental well-being to also consider our diet. Incredibly important. Incredibly, our diet has an impact on everything, right? On everything, on how we feel, how much energy we feel we have, how productive we are, whether we have brain fog or can be focused, on clear focus, on our communication. So our diet, tremendously important. So, and now I really want to introduce you to the 3 steps that have helped me and that can help you to free yourself emotionally from any kind of emotional suffering in the moment, right now, in the moment, within the matter of a few minutes, depending on how you train yourself to use it. And if you incorporate those 3 steps into your life and develop habits and routine around them, you will free yourself emotionally. You will reach the ultimate emotional freedom in the same way I did. So let's start, shall we? So the step number 1, or pattern number 1. Why am I saying pattern? Because we all have patterns how we use these things. But let me introduce you to the first step or first pattern. It will become clear. So the first step or the first pattern is our physiology. Our physiology, what do we do with our body? Well, so why do I say pattern? Because we all have certain patterns how we use our body, right? Especially working from home now so much, in a home office. Most of us have a have a certain pattern how we use our body, right? Most of the time, we are essentially slouched over, looking down, probably with our shoulders down. And take very little time to do something different, to apply a radical shift to our system, to our body, right? Our physiology meaning what you do with your body, but also what do you do with your face? Did you know that there is 80+ muscles in your face? How do you use them? Are you trained? Have you trained yourself to smile ear to ear, or have you trained yourself to frown? How do you use those 80 muscles in your face? And also a breath being part of our physiology. How have you trained yourself to breathe? Do you breathe shallow and flat? Or do you make a conscious effort to take deep breaths in and out? You see, our lymphatic system is driven by our breath, which cleanses our body and is activated by our breath, by deep breaths. So if you happen to have one of those iWatches, it reminds you to breathe deeply, right? A few times in the day. Remember to breathe. It doesn't mean that, of course, you remember to breathe, but breathe in the correct way. So if I were to ask you, tell me how a depressed person uses their body, I'm sure you would know the answer to this. I'm sure you would know the answer to this. You would say something along the lines, well, their shoulders are slouched down as if the entire weight of the world is sitting on their shoulders. They're looking down. They're breathing really shallow. They're speaking really soft. And there isn't much passion and there isn't much tone to their voice. And they're really flat in general, and they are, so to speak, lifeless, right? That's this kind of thing you would say when it comes to how does the depressed person use their body. So how do you know it? Because you have experienced this, you've probably practiced it yourself, or you've seen people who are depressed, who use their body in this way, right? So step number 1, pattern number 1, when we feel anything other than great, to simplify the entire range of empowering emotions. Step number 1 is to change your physiology radically. So what do you do? What can you do? Think about it. Come up with something where you can change your physiology radically. You can go for a run. You can remind yourself to breathe deeply, or to breathe. Do you know this breath of fire exercise where you breathe in through your nose and out through your nose as you inhale and exhale really fast? Do you know this exercise? It will quite literally go like this. Breath of fire. You activate so much energy within you. When you change your physiology fast, your body, your breath, your facial expressions, your gesture, right? What do you do with your body? If you don't feel like it, especially then, you have to go and do some physical activity radically, apply a radical shift. If you indeed suffer from depression and anxiety and you find yourself, lifeless, that is the moment when you have to act. That's quite literally the moment how you activate your your emotional muscle. When you do something which you don't feel like doing in the moment, because you recognize that it's good for you, and you push yourself through the barrier of negativity, push yourself through the barrier of feeling low, depressed, anxious, stressed, and do something which doesn't make any sense, that you sing from the top of your voice to your favorite song when you're completely stressed out, or that you go for a run, or that you go for a quick walk, or that you apply this breath of fire exercise, right? Your physiology, what you do with your body, can change it all. If you feel you have an onset of a panic attack by starting to feel unwell and immediately starting to focus on what will come, rather than focusing in that way, change your physiology. That's why our parents, when we were teenagers, do you remember when we were teenagers, most of us like to probably hang out too much in front of the TV, and our parents say to us, go and do something, go and do something. Why do they? Probably they don't appreciate of the words they're saying, but if you go and do something, you change your state and you start feeling better, and you start feeling more up to doing other things rather than lying in front of the TV all day, right? So how do you use your body? You see, 𝗦𝘁𝗲𝗽, I'm sure you've heard of 𝗦𝘁𝗲𝗽. She's a famous Harvard behavioral professor, and she has conducted research studies on how our physiology has an impact on how we feel. And quite a few number of years ago, in 2012, she gave a famous TED talk on the power pose. So how we can use power poses, think Superman or Wonder Woman, to take our power back quite literally. She asked the audience to think of a challenging situation which makes them feel uncomfortable, which stresses them out, where they feel worried or angry or, anxious, and apply, whilst they're thinking of the situation, the power pose. So stand like Wonder Woman or Superman would, with their feet firmly rooted on the ground, 2 or 3 feet apart, with the fist pressed against their hips, with the chest sticking out, with the head high, looking into the ceiling or into the sky, breathing really deeply, having a smile on their faces as if they were ready to conquer the world. 2 minutes of applying the power pose, 2 minutes only. Everybody on the audience felt good. They felt more empowered. They felt it as if they were ready to tackle that problem that has caused them to feel the emotional pain they had thought of before the exercise. The power pose movement has started since 2012 and has been going on for almost 10 years now, where people are quite literally taking back their power from feeling disencouraged, worried, anxious, stressed, depressed, to feeling confident. People are applying power poses before they go into difficult conversations or job interviews or delivering the presentation at the board meeting or whatever it is for you. You may find it difficult to have a conversation with somebody you love about a topic that is really important to you. But about applying the power pose, which you can, by the way, do, and that's why it's so easy and so popular in the privacy of your toilet cubicle. Applying the power pose for 2 minutes only gives you that boost. Your biochemistry quite literally reacts and responds to how you use your body. By applying the power pose for 2 minutes only, your cortisol level, the stress hormone, the major stress hormone, drops by more than 35%. Your adrenaline, the hormone that makes you ready to take on any kind of challenges, your adrenaline level goes up. Your oxytocin, your endorphin, so the good feeling hormones go up. They make you feel more content, more ready, more confident by applying 2 minutes of power posing only. Research has proven that your physiology, what you do with your body, changes your biochemistry, which in turn changes how you feel. Isn't that incredible? I mean, there were so many research studies done. Another one was by University of California, Berkeley, where they've taken a group of depressed people, manic depressed people who were really taking antidepressants for decades, where they felt that they couldn't control their emotions other than preventing to feel completely desperate and lost by taking antidepressants. They have exposed them to a very simple study over the course of 30 days. They've asked them to look into the mirror, look themselves in the eye, and without any particular reason to smile ear to ear, to really smile ear to ear. People didn't first buy into it, but they went along with the study. And guess what happened? 20 minutes every day. After the first few days, people have really started feeling that they had a reason to smile. They start feeling from the inside out that they have a reason to smile. So again, the body responded, the biochemistry responded to them smiling. It's almost like your brain is going, why are you smiling? You must have a reason to smile. Okay, so I'm going to release the relevant hormones to make you feel better. It's the reversed engineered way of how we smile. We usually smile, right? Because we feel that we have a reason for smiling. So we have an external circumstance which makes us feel good inside, which then releases the relevant hormones in our system, the relevant chemicals in our system, which alters our biochemistry, which then puts a smile on our face. Right? But that research study essentially reversed engineered. It is proven that we can reverse engineer how we feel by starting with the last step, by starting to smile. At the end of the 30 days, the group of the manic depressant patients, even the person who said that she was depressed while she slept, everybody agreed that they know how they can how to control their emotional well-being, and they have weaned themselves off antidepressants after having been on antidepressants for several decades. Isn't that a tremendous achievement? Your body, your physiology, how you use your facial expressions, your breath, your gestures has an incredible impact on how you feel. If you apply a radical shift to your physiology in any moment, you can quite literally switch from feeling completely worried, stressed, to feeling confident and ready to take on a challenge. Within minutes or even seconds, if you train yourself to do this, if you develop habits, routines around changing your physiology, starting your day off in this way, you will become completely and utterly unstoppable in terms of emotional fitness and what you can do and how much you can achieve for yourself. I hope you understand the power of physiology and the power also of exercising. Exercising obviously forces us to change our physiology. So unless you already have a daily exercise routine in place, I urge you to consider to have one, to develop one. And especially the best time to do this is in the morning. In the same way, the best time to start, the best time to prime yourself for the day and what you want to achieve and how you want to feel and what you want to get out of the day is the morning, right? Most people roll out of bed and they have a daily routine around grabbing a cup of coffee, taking a shower, eating a muffin, and sitting at the desk without priming themselves, without focusing, without using the intention, the power of the mind and body to prime themselves to get ready for the day. Did you know that exercise, 30 minutes of aerobic exercise. Aerobic essentially means to do with air. So you increase your heart rate so that you have an increased breath speed for 30 minutes. So aerobic exercise for 30 minutes a day can increase or increases, as research has proven it, increases your focus for more than 2 hours. Makes you feel more confident. Makes you feel more clear-headed and clear-minded, gives you better solutions to problems. You quite literally, by exercising half an hour in a day, and knowing that you have a certain set of challenges and problems to solve 2 hours afterwards, you can quite literally train yourself to do this. If you develop a healthy exercise routine, at least 3 or 4 times of 30 minutes exercise, aerobic exercise every week, and do this for at least 1 month, you will always want to return back to exercising. That's a kind of a healthy exercise routine. Even after a period of when you are not able to exercise, like, accidents or pregnancy, you always felt drawn back to wanting to exercise 3 or 4 times a week. And when you develop an exercise routine, you will benefit from it in the old age, because exercise, research has proven, has an impactful benefit on your brain. There are 2 parts of our brain, the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, which are susceptible to degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's or dementia, right? And depending on your genetic makeup, you may be programmed, so to speak, your body may be programmed to, at a certain age, develop symptoms of Alzheimer's or dementia. But when you exercise, those 2 parts in your brain, if you have a daily exercise routine, lifelong exercise routine in place, those 2 parts of your brain, your prefrontal cortex and your hippocampus, quite literally become more resilient toward even developing those symptoms in the old age. So what I'm saying is, you are not only benefiting from exercise and changing your physiology in that way in the moment, but you are doing yourself a huge favor long term as well. So I hope I underlined the importance, I was able to articulate the importance of physiology when it comes to emotional fitness, mental well-being, but also, physical fitness. So that was step number 1. That was pattern number 1, because again, we have a pattern how we use our body, our breath, our gestures already. It's about, if we recognize that it's not serving us, that these patterns are not serving us, to change them, right? And to program ourselves in new, empowering ways. If you have any questions about physiology, drop them in the comments box. I would love to hear your input. Now let's move on to step number 2, pattern number 2. I have kind of hinted to it already whilst I was speaking about physiology, but we also have a pattern how we use our focus, how we use our mindset, what we pay attention to all day, every day, what we think about, what we focus on, right? What are the first things you focus on, when you think about, when you think of the morning? You open your eyes in the morning. What are the first few things you think about? What kind of questions are you asking yourselves? Because if you think about it, the thought process, our thoughts, the thinking process, is a way of asking ourselves questions all day, every day, right? We're asking ourselves questions. What should I wear? What time is it? What do I need? How could I best contribute to the meeting? How can I solve this problem? What am I going to have for breakfast? When I'm going to have my next panic attack? I wonder how it's going to be. Why am I always depressed? Why am I a victim? And depending on the quality of questions you ask, your brain always gives you an answer. Depending on which way you focus, whether you focus on an empowering way or a disempowering way, your brain will always give you an answer. So if you ask yourself the question, why am I always depressed? Your brain will give you an answer. It's an infinite intelligence, shall I say, that will always deliver an answer. If you ask crap questions, excuse my language, you get crap answers. If you ask empowering questions, you get empowering answers. So why am I always depressed? Because you're a loser. Because you've always been depressed. Because there isn't another way for you, right? These answers are not very empowering and they don't help you longer term to free yourself, to be more confident, to be the kind of person you know in your heart of hearts you can be. As opposed to when you ask yourself, how can I make the best of today? How can I be the best version of myself today? What can I do to help to solve that problem? How can I look at this differently? What is it I need to do in order to feel that I'm alive? Can you see the difference in the quality of the questions? These quality of the questions determine your focus, determine how you focus. You know, it's estimated by research that we have more than 60,000 thoughts a day, which is fair enough. But most people are focusing on what they focused on yesterday. There are patterns in the thoughts we have, right? We don't recognize the importance that in any moment of any day we can choose a different thought. That different thought, empowering thought, depending on the quality of questions you ask yourself, will make you feel differently. And when you feel differently, you feel so much more empowered to act in a different way. You see, I think it was Einstein who said that you cannot solve a problem with the same mindset, with the same thought patterns that created it. In fact, that is the definition of insanity. So how do you focus on all day, every day? What do you believe to be true for yourself? Because if you think of belief, a belief is essentially a thought that you keep thinking. Right? A belief is a thought that you keep thinking that at one stage, one point in your life, early on, was given to you by other people. You may have picked it up from your parents, your caretakers, your friends, your family, your role models, and you started thinking about it so much that it became the unshakable truth for you, which is a belief. It's an unshakable truth. It feels like there isn't another way. But when your beliefs destroy rather than create, when your beliefs limit you rather than empower you, you have to take charge. You have to interrupt the pattern. You have to stop thinking the same thoughts you thought about all day, yesterday, and the day before, and the day before. Today, and this moment, is a different opportunity for you to start creating more empowering thoughts. Thoughts that give you a sense of control. You see, most people think of and concentrate on and focus on what they can't control as opposed to what they can control. Most people focus on the past and everything that went wrong in the past rather than focusing on what I can do right now in the present to impact the future. And most people focus on their lack of capability rather than how can I take my power back. So most people have trained themselves to focus in a way which is completely against them. And that is also certainly true in the case of mental health and emotional fitness, right? I want to give you another example, which is quite eye-opening. And it also connects to what we spoke about, the physiology, but also and also connects to the next step we'll be speaking about. But if you remember the London Olympics, the last London Olympics, a good number of years ago now, but the reporters went around the crowd of the home performing athletes, and they asked them the question, "Oh my God, you must be really nervous performing here in front of the home crowd." Every reporter their hands were almost shaking asking the question, because they put themselves into this state by focusing on how they perceived the athletes would feel. And guess what happened? Every single athlete answered in the same way. They said, which was quite eye-opening, not only for the reporter, but everybody watching it, I suppose. They said, "No, I'm not nervous, I'm excited." "No, I'm not nervous, I'm excited." "No, I'm not nervous, I'm excited." Let me ask you a question. How do you feel when you feel the onset of nervousness, which may then if you focus on it too much, result in a panic attack. But the onset of nervousness, we've got a funny sensation in our stomach, right? Our heart rate increases, right? We get sweaty palms, our breath speed increases. These are the symptoms, right, of nervousness. What are the symptoms of excitement? We've got butterflies in our stomach, our heart rate increases, our breath speed increases, we've got sweaty palms. So you see, the physical symptoms between nervousness or excitement are the same. It depends on how we interpret the symptoms, by what message we tell ourselves, by the words we use to describe what we focus on, right? What we focus on, we feel. In the same way, when we smile without a reason, our body, our biochemistry adjusts and releases the good feeling hormones. What we focus on, we feel. I'm excited gives me so much energy, so much joy to look forward to doing something, puts me in a completely different frame of mind and zone, rather than when I'm focusing on, oh my God, I'm nervous. I'm nervous of letting everybody down. I'm nervous of being judged. I'm nervous of. That brings you, that focus in the wrong way has an impact on how you feel, which has an impact on how you perform. And that certainly can be also observed within athletes, within sports, right? That's why mindset is so incredibly important. It's time for us, even if we are not professional athletes, we can certainly use those tools to our advantage, right? So what you focus on, what you believe to be true for yourself, is the key to everything. When you feel the onset of nervousness and focus on it and dramatize things, you will develop a stronger sense of nervousness, which can develop into panic and depression. But if you focus on, oh my God, I choose to interpret those symptoms as feeling excited. I'm excited, you will feel completely different. You will feel completely different. Your body will respond to it differently. I mean, I encourage you to play with this, but I know that for myself, I had a really difficult situation with one of my neighbors, and I had all the reason to feel nervous to go over and speak to them without going into too much detail. I had all the reason to feel nervous based on what I knew to be true. But in that moment, I chose to focus on being excited, feeling excited, without having a reason. I just told myself, whilst I was walking to speak to them, just told myself continuously, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. And you know what? My body bought into it. I felt more confident. I felt focused. I felt determined. I felt eager to go and speak to them in an eloquent, clear way without showing any sign of worry, fear, or anxiety. And I made my point. And I felt good in myself. I felt good knowing that I've done the right thing, rather than having allowed anxiety or worry or nervousness not to allow me to go over there even. Just to think about it. I'm encouraging you to think about how anxiety as opposed to excitement are limiting your body. Which one is showing up more, and which one are you allowing to drag you down as opposed to allowing to lift you up in your life? Moving on to step number 3, pattern number 3. Again, all these patterns, they do overlap to some degree. So I've mentioned it already indirectly. But pattern number 3 is the pattern of you choosing your words, your language. You see, your words, your language is emotionally charged. Our words have an emotional charge. The words we speak make us feel a certain way. And often the most difficult, most hurtful things said to us are by us, okay? And I know you know what I'm talking about, especially when you are somebody prone who suffers from anxiety, panic attacks, or depression. We tend to be very hard on ourselves. And the language we use to describe how we feel and the identity we develop around the language we choose is completely disempowering. And we use language which is completely disempowering for us. We wouldn't use it for people, for talking to people around us. So our language, the words that we choose, are emotionally charged. To give you an example, and although I know that you know what I mean, I'm just here to remind you of what you know so that you apply it, you take your knowledge and do it, because nothing will change unless you change things. If I were to say to you, if you and I were speaking about something and I were to say to you, listen, I appreciate your input, but I don't quite agree with what you're saying. As opposed to, let's just agree to disagree, okay? As opposed to, you know what? It's completely wrong what you are telling me. You are a liar. You can see the difference of emotional charge in these three instances, right? You can see the difference of emotional charge in these instances. Words do affect us. They have an impact on us. So my question to you is, what kind of words, what kind of language do you use in your own life? What kind of words do you attach to the words I am? Just finish the sentence for me. I am. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? I am. And again, I am. I would love to hear what you are saying to yourself. So if you're up for it, pop it in the comment box, let me know. But essentially, whatever words you attach to I am is your identity. You see, people who are smoking and who want to give up smoking, as an example, or they say they want to give up smoking, and they attach the words I am a smoker to I am, they have developed an identity around who they are, that they are a smoker. And I know, working with these people, that it's not going to be easy for them to give up smoking, because they have attached an entire identity around it, right? An entire identity. In the same way, people who are depressed or suffering or feeling like a victim, the moment they start attaching I am a victim of depression, they are really setting themselves up for failure in the healing, in the emotional, in the emotional freedom, in the journey to emotional freedom. I am. What are the words you attach to I am? Powerful words. I am. What are the words you attach to I am? I would love to hear from you. I am excited as opposed to I am nervous. Another example we already mentioned, right? So words do have emotional charge. The question is, what kind of words do you use? How do you start your day? What kind of questions are you asking yourselves? Which stimulates the thought process. What kind of words do you use to describe what you want to get out of the day, what you want to get out of your life experience, right? We all have patterns how we use certain words. We all have certain words we use more in our vocabulary, use more every day than other words. If you recognize that these words are not empowering you, then it's time to change it. And how do you recognize when a certain word and a certain language is not empowering you? By the way it makes you feel. So all I'm asking you to be more aware of what's going on. If you catch yourself in the day thinking, oh my God, I'm not feeling that great, I feel really disencouraged, I feel anxious, I feel worried, I feel stressed, catch yourself in the day and start thinking about, okay, what are the questions I have asked myself that led me to feeling like this? Think about it. What are the words I have used to describe that led me to feel like this? How was I using my body, or how am I still using my body that is allowing me to stay stuck feeling like this? And take stock of what is going on and start identifying what the words are, what the language is, what your focus was, what your beliefs are that are making you feel anything other than great, that are making you feel worried, anxious, stressed out, fearful, jealous, angry, depressed. And there's millions of other negative emotions, and we all attach different meanings to these emotions as well. But every time you know you are not feeling in the way you would like to feel, every time you don't feel empowered, passionate, joyful, fun, thankful, grateful, optimistic, full of positive expectation, joyful, passionate, and loving, again, there is also millions of positive emotions as well. Which one are you feeling on a more consistent basis? What is your emotional home? Where would you say in a regular week, where do you find yourself emotionally? What are the emotions you are experiencing more frequently than not? Is it one of those negative emotions? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it stress? Is it worry? Is it fear? Is it overwhelming? Is it helplessness? Or is it full of positive expectation and a sense of self-belief and a confidence and enthusiasm and joy and passion and happiness and love? Take stock. What are the emotions you experience in a regular week? And which emotions weigh which emotions out? Are they the positive emotions or the negative emotions? And by doing this exercise, you will identify your emotional home. That's where you live emotionally. And guess what? Where you live emotionally determines the quality of your life. If you're somebody who is full of love and passion, you will be full of love and passion regardless of what happens. That's your nature. You can quite literally train yourself to be that way. You will be looking out for things that make you feel the love and passion. You will always look at the world as somebody who recognizes that life is happening for us and not to us, and appreciate the joyful moments that every day has to offer. As opposed to when you find yourself that your emotional home is worry, stress, or anger, or depression, that regardless what good happens in your life, you will always find a reason to find the worry, stress, anger, or depression in it. Do you agree? So what is your emotional home? And if you don't like what you see, if you don't like the result, it's time to change it. It's time to reprogram yourself. I've given you 3 important tools, 3 important steps right now, how you can take your power back. I do hope that they served you. Unless you are the 3-step, if you're the winner of the 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks, it's the 3-step blueprint I'm sharing here on the screen. It's a powerful program that can help you to shift yourself completely out of emotional suffering into emotional fitness and ultimate emotional freedom. It's a really powerful and proven program. Check it out at stopanxietyblueprint.com. You will also hear all about my story, and you will discover how this blueprint can help you in more depth than what we have discussed today. How it can really help you to not only address, the physical symptoms where the body is really shouting loud at you, to give it some attention, to give those issues that are affecting you most some attention, but really address whatever is holding you back deep down so that you can eliminate it and free yourself and free the energy up to use it in the most powerful way. So I encourage you to check out this 3-step blueprint, stopanxietyblueprint.com. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you everybody for stepping in. I hope you have learned, and I do hope that these strategies, tools I've shared with you today, and I do hope that you have found them inspiring and eye-opening. I hope that you are going to use them. remember that nothing changes unless you change things. You need to take what you know and do something good with it. Apply the knowledge. And you will, the moment you start seeing differences in your life, you will be hooked in the same way I was hooked in my early 20s. The moment I started feeling a shift from disempowerment to feeling in control, I didn't allow anything to drag me back down. I've worked on keeping the momentum up, on freeing myself by applying the 3 steps I've shared with you today. And I do hope that you do the same for you. Embrace your ultimate emotional freedom, your ultimate power. Embrace the quality of life that you want and deserve. Right now, you can start right now. You can start freeing yourself moment to moment. It's over to you now. I would love to hear how you get on. So keep in touch. Let me know all about your successes and your progress. I would love to hear how you're applying these 3 steps, how you're changing these 3 patterns. And also, if you can, please help me to share this message to your wider network, because as 𝗦 UK, the charity focusing on mental health in the UK, has proven, there is 6 out of 10 people in England alone who suffer from emotional unfitness, who suffer mentally, and who are not necessarily sharing this information with anybody because of their perception of how people would see them, or how they would look at them, or the fear of judgment. So by you sharing this message with your network, you will be also empowering those who are in need of this information but aren't necessarily reaching out. So thank you for helping to spread the word. Now, thanks for joining in. Have a great day. Use this information. Do something powerful with it. And whatever you do, live with passion and a strong sense of self-belief that you are absolutely worth it, of stepping into your own potential and grabbing that life, that career, and that business that you want for yourself, because it is absolutely possible for yourself when you set your mind to it. I hope this helped. And please do keep in touch. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Bye for now.